Hare Krishna. Start with the prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnanashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaya Kada Mahyam Dadanti Swapadantikam Namao Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarini Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hara Haraya Nama Krishnaya Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Hara Haraya Nama Krishnaya Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Govindaya Namaha Sri Krishna Hari Bol Gopala Hari Bol Radha Ramana Govinda Hari Bol Sri Krishna Hari Bol Gopala Hari Bol Radha Ramana Govinda Hari Bol Jaya Radha Govinda Radha Govinda Radhi Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Shri Shri Radha Govind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Welcome you all to the level 2 class of Bhagavad Gita. And today we are going to learn about chapter number 7. That is the knowledge of the absolute truth. Okay. So last 6 chapters we have completed the Karma Yoga chapters. In this, Lord Krishna has emphasized on the karma and what type of a karma has to be done and how to renounce your work and how to free yourself by not attaching to the result of the karma and how to do the sadhana, of which highest sadhana is the Bhakti Yoga, and what are all other karma, whether it's a other yoga like Karma Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, all those things are just steps to reach the Bhakti Yoga. So to progress further in the Bhakti Yoga, you need to have a deeper knowledge about the Lord, isn't it? So, for example, if you take schooling, you got a broad knowledge about different subjects. Once you are going higher up in your classes, then you need to refine yourself and streamline yourself to the concerned subject, and you try to learn more on that, isn't it? So similarly, the first 6 chapters have prepared us to go further in this path of spirituality, to know more about the Lord. So how to focus on the Lord and how to practice Bhakti Yoga, that we will come to know in this middle 6 chapters. So these are very, very important chapters. Krishna. Very, very. So Shri Shri Radha Govind ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So in the previous chapter, we have learned about the giving up of the work and how to practice further steps of the yoga and how to control the mind, because mind is the one which control all your senses. So you need to have a control over your mind, and the destination of unsuccessful yogi and the topmost yogi is the one who has succeeded in making a forward step towards the bhakti yoga. So these are the contents of today's chapter, knowing Krishna in full by hearing about him. And he is the source of both the material as well as the spiritual energies. And three modes of material natures are controlled by Krishna. Therefore, please surrender unto him. The impious lack knowledge and never surrender to Krishna. The pious develop knowledge and surrender. So, which category we are falling into, whether the impious or pious, we have to make a choice and our efforts accordingly. Others who have no knowledge, therefore, who surrender to demigods because they needed immediate results of it. And people who are impersonalists. So the ultimate thing is that whether you wanted to please your senses or senses of the Lord. So if you wanted to progress further in the bhakti, we have to work towards the Lord. But if you don't want to progress in the bhakti, and we are still in the bhautika world, then we take shelter of the demigods. So what type of people take shelter of the Lords and what are the ultimate outcomes? And if you wanted to take a shelter of Lord Krishna, what is the ultimate steps we have to take? So with several examples, we will have a detailed study about this particular chapter. So this is a synopsis chart, what exactly we are going to learn in this. Yeah, in the previous chapter, as I told you, Bhakti Yoga is the highest ladder what we can attain. Rest any other yoga which we are doing, it is only temporary. It will not take us anyway further. Okay, coming to the chapter number 7. Okay, it is saying we have to, the ways of acquiring knowledge by discerning process as the only process. So what exactly the process? The one is by hearing about him, that is Shravanam. Second is showing Krishna as a source of matter and the spirit, because he is the ultimate producer of the inferior as well as the superior energy of the Lord. Okay. And he controls the modes of material nature because he is Rishikesha. And the impious never surrendered to the pious too. So definitely, because they are stuck in this material world and they wanted the immediate results. So they are not interested in surrendering onto the Lord. So therefore, they take the shelter of a demigods for their immediate wants and desires. So bewilderment of living entities and freedom from knowing Krishna. So yeah, what type of, there are 4 type of people who take shelter of the Lord that we will come to know in the coming slides. And so Krishna will give to them whatever which is needed. But ultimate thing is the liberation. So if we sought for the liberation, we should not take help of the any of the demigods. So rather we should have a knowledge about like absolute knowledge about the Lord, so that we don't get wavered off or take a different path by taking shelter of different demigods, because ultimately they also worship Krishna. If you're worshipping Krishna, then it becomes easier for us that what all is required for us, Lord will provide. So we need not take shelter of any of the demigods. The verses 1 to 3, it's here Lord Krishna is requesting Arjuna to hear both his material and the spiritual energies, that is the inferior and superior energies of the Lord, and declares that the transcendental who succeeds in truly knowing about him. So if you take example of Dhruv Maharaj, so though he was a small child, but he did the sadhana to know about the Lord. That's how the Lord has appeared in front of him. Similarly, if you take Arjuna in this, so he has totally surrendered onto them, and he is listening and doing what all his Lord is directed him to do. In that way, it is becoming easy for him to progress in this bhakti. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Saktamana Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asamshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Jnayasi Tashrunu. So now here, O son of Pritha, how by practicing yoga in full conscious of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from the doubt. Okay, see, for example, if you wanted to study for an exam, say suppose mathematic exam, if we are fully preparing for that and doing completely involved in that and practicing it in and out for day in and day out, so definitely we are going to score the 100% marks, isn't it? If you are preparing for the science exam, writing a maths exam, we will not get a marks, isn't it? Similarly, when we are doing the spiritual practice, we have to fully engage ourselves in the service of the Lord so that we get the full benefit out of it. So these are the various process of hearing by which we can come to know about the Lord. I wanted one devotee volunteer to read this. Anyone can please volunteer.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please.
May I?
Yes, Prabhu.
Knowledge of the Absolute. Lord Krishna explains how to know Him by the process of hearing. So for Lord Krishna, it's absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which means Brahman, impersonal,
This is
impersonal
Brahman.
sun.
You take a sun, the
Yeah,
inside of a sun, the sun disk as well as the sun rays. So Brahman is the sun shine, that is the outer rays. That is partial realization of the Lord.
yeah, partial realization of the Lord. Then Paramatma, localized sun disk, which is also partial realization of the Lord. Bhagwan, personality, sun god, which is complete realization. This is realized as Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, 211. Then we have the living entity, which is the spirit soul, by different yoga process, capable of elevating to self-realization. And by different yoga process would mean the Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. The Jnana Yoga is Brahman, Ashtanga Yoga is Paramatma, and Bhakti Yoga, which is Bhagwan. Jnana Yoga is a partial realization. Then we have the devotee develops transcendental knowledge. Bhakti Yoga
No,
means
Bhakti is concentrating on the Lord now.
concentrating, focusing on the mind. Then the heart engages in this in the process of devotional service, which begins with hearing from Lord Krishna or his devotees. Then by constant hearing, Lord Paramatma purifies the heart, which develops, devotee develops transcendental knowledge, which becomes fixed in devotional service, freed from modes of passion and ignorance and lust and greed. Impurities are wiped, situated in pure goodness, so becomes enlivened in devotional service, understands science of Krishna perfectly. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So this is the superior energy of the Lord where the realizations are Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. And this is the inferior energy of the Lord. That is the way Jivatma. So by doing different yogas, again the same step, Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagavan. Okay. By whatever means, by this spiritual energy, we can't do it. We are the very inferior energy of the Lord. We are made up of all these five elements. Ultimately, when we reach to this Bhakti Yoga stage, that means the Bhagavan stage, our what do you say, devotion service is firm, fixed, and we wanted to progress further in that. So that we are focusing on the Lord. So all the senses are only engaged in hearing about Krishna, doing service to Krishna. Likewise, we develop and ultimately becomes perfectly in Krishna consciousness and will be ready for liberation. So Hare Krishna, I wanted another devotee volunteer to read this, the examples.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Is the 9 process of devotional service, starting from Sravanam.
Sakyarat.
Sravanam. Sravanam is Maharaj Parikshit. Kirtanam is Sukadev Goswami. Smaranam Prahlad Maharaj. Padasevanam Lakshmi Devi, serving the Lords. Archanam, deity worship, Maharaj Prithu. Vandanam, praying, that is Akrura. Dashyam, Hanuman, becoming the servant. Sakyam, Arjuna, serving the friendship. Atma Nivedanam, surrender, complete surrender, that is Maharaj Bali.
So these are the various 9 types of devotional service by which we are remembering the Lord and doing different services towards the Lord, which will ultimately help us to progress further in the bhakti. Okay. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakhyasya aseshata yajñatvaniha bhuyonya jnatavyam avasishyate. So now I can now declare unto you in full knowledge, in full knowledge, both phenomenal and numinous, by knowing which there shall remain nothing further to be known. So whatever the detailing you the devotional service, that's going to tell you. That's what Lord Arjuna. Okay. So let's see what exactly are the details which Lord is saying to Arjuna. So I wanted one more devotee volunteer to read this.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Lord Krishna explains full knowledge, that is phenomenal and numinous. Jnana, phenomenal knowledge acquired or perceived by senses, seeing object as appearing to our senses, disconnected from Krishna. Vijnana, numinous knowledge about spirit, not acquired through senses, object as it is, not necessarily received by senses. Complete knowledge, transcendental knowledge, knowing this, nothing more to be known. Complete principles, seeing objects as Krishna's energy, controller of both Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna qualification. Bhagavad Gita 4.3.9.1. Devotee and friend. Cause of all causes. Source of all knowledge. Only object of meditation for all yoga process. Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So the knowledge acquired by our senses, okay, and knowledge about spirit which are not acquired through senses. That is jnana and vijnana. Okay, again, both these are controlled by Krishna. So, as since Krishna is the cause of all causes, source of all knowledge, and only object for meditation for all yoga process. So, but either way, if we know him, then automatically he'll give us the required knowledge to progress further in the bhakti. So Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna the qualifications in the particular sloka, that is 4.3 and 9.1. So then he can be a devotee, he can be a friend, he can take any form to help his devotees. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye yatataamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvata. So, out of you take this picture of this something of a marathon, many people will run, but the runner-up will be 1, 2nd, and 3rd positions. Not everybody will win over this, isn't it? Similarly, like among thousands of men who endeavor for perfection, and of which only hardly anybody can know me in full. So that's what Lord Krishna is saying to Arjuna. So I wanted one more devotee volunteer to read this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
knowledge of the Absolute. Rarely man achieves perfection out of perfect soul. Rarely some, sorry, it is not legible. Different modes of man. General, very few. Interested in animal prosperities, eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Transcendental knowledge, soul, super soul, body, absolute truth. Understanding Krishna. Absolute truth, causes of all causes, supreme personality of Godhead, all six appearances in full, can only be known by process of Krishna consciousness engaged in devotional service. Process of bhakti is not easy to practice as proclaimed by impersonalists. Chapter 1 to 6. Understanding self, super soul and process of realization. Difference between soul and matter. Jnana yoga. The other thing is not legible, ma'am. Sorry. Jnana yoga. After
Jnana
that,
yoga.
something is Jnana yoga. After that, something is not legible. It's not at all seen. Upanishads.
Oh, that's it.
Oh,
This one,
process
Vedic literature.
Vedic literature. Upanishads, Puranas, and Narada Pancharatta. Process of devotional service. VRS 1 to 0. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So different grades of men, the simple men, the ordinary people who are interested in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and the people who are interested in devotional service are very few who have an inquisitive nature to know about the soul, the super soul, the body, and the absolute truth. Okay, people who have this inquisitiveness to know about the Lord progress further in understanding Krishna and attain the ultimate Goloka Dham. And when they know that Lord, definitely they know what is absolute truth and the cause of all causes is Lord Krishna, and try to know all the appearances of the Lord, and they know only by the process of Krishna consciousness one can engage in devotional service, and Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate thing by which we can achieve the Lord. And let me see. Then the process of devotion service is by engaging in different way, by chanting, by reading, by doing service, and all those things. Okay. So likewise, they will get elevated. And yeah, the initial chapters here, 1 to 6, is all about the soul and the super soul, and the parts of it, and the karma yoga, and how to know the Lord. So when that's the basic knowledge, once they have, then automatically they will progress further in the bhakti. So the people, if they are going towards this, then it is next to impossible for them to practice the bhakti. If they are inquisitive only, then all these things comes. Automatically, they will come to know who I am, why I am born, what is my purpose in the life, and everything goes. And ultimately, he'll try to achieve or learn something or the other over a period of a time. So knowing. So the next is the summary from 7.4 to 7.12, that is knowing Krishna as a source of both the material and the superior energies. Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhirev cha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakriti astadha. So all these 5 elements, we are made up of this earth, water, fire, air, ether, and mind, intelligence, and the false ego. Okay, these are the subtle energies. That is the mind, intelligence, and the false ego. All these together forms the 8, and these are the separate energies of the Lord. Okay. Apareyam nitastvanyam prakritim viddhi me param jivabhutam mahabaho yayedam dharayati jagat. So beside these, O mighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material, that is inferior nature. So all these living creatures have the source in these two natures, and of all that is material and spiritual in this world, know the first certain, that is I am the Bodhi, origin as well as the dissolution. So whether it is the inferior energy of the Lord, whether it is the superior energy law, everything is coming from the Krishna only. Okay, so these are the various expansions and various energies of the Lord. I wanted one devotee volunteer to read this. Hare Krishna. Any one of you please volunteer.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna Mata.
Knowledge of the absolute.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you can, Mataji, you can read next.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu,
Earth,
please go ahead.
Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and force are separate energy. Krishna, the plenary expansions, complete material creation, Prakriti, Purusha incarnation, Mahavishnu, Karanadakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, Paramatma, and enters into every atom to maintain a super soul. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu enters into every universe to create diversities. Mahavishnu, Karanadakshaya Vishnu creates total material energy, Mahatattva. Don't know, Krishna thinks material world is for enjoyment of living entities. Living entities are Purusha, cause, controller, enjoyer of material energy. And material creation Prakriti is coming to temporary. All activities directed by three Vishnus. Ingredients of material world as a separated energy of Lord. And gross elements are earth, water, fire, air, ether, 5 gross elements. And subtle elements are mind, intelligence, force, ego, Mahatattva. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the plenary portions are the Purusha Avatar, that is the Karnodaka Sai Vishnu, Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu. Karnodaka Sai Vishnu is the one who creates all the material energy, that is the whole Brahmandas and all. Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is the one who will be entering into each universe, and he'll be lying all on that Garbha ocean. Okay, and when Brahma creates all the 84 lakh species, then it's a Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu who will enter into each individual entity and give them the life. Okay. So in turn, this is the superior energy of the Lord. So, and many people, out of ignorance, they say enjoyment and all this, but who has created all these things? Each and every entity is being created by Krishna, isn't it? And he is the ultimate enjoyer, not us. Coming to the material energy, as we are all made up of, so it is all temporary and again directed by three Vishnus, and indigenous of material energy was separated by energy of the Lord. So which is made up of these 5 elements, that is earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the subtle element, that is a mind, intelligence in the false ego. Okay. Hare Krishna Mataji, you can read this one.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Knowledge of the absolute besides inferior energy for Krishna's superior energy are living entities. Krishna's energies are Shaktis. Antaranga eternal superior, Tathas the marginal superior, source of original and dissolution, Bahiranga eternal inferior, then soul jivas, exploiting material world in condition state. Liberation means free from material illusion, I and mine. Bahiranga Sakti, eternal inferior, material world, gross, earth, water, fire, air, other, subtle, mind, intelligence, false ego. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so these are the gross and the subtle elements which we are made up of, and the soul which is there, again, that is the internal energy of the Lord, which is exploited by coming in contact by 3 modes of material nature. So we need to have a control. The food for the soul is doing Krishna's service. So once we do that, automatically everything will come under control. So it will not disturb our gross as well as the subtle body. So we need to take the control of this. Let's see next. Matta parataram nanya kinchit asti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam dhrutam sutre manigana iva. So, conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung onto the thread. So, pearls, as you see the pearl necklace, that will be a continuous one. But there is a thread which is connecting all these pearls together, isn't it? Similarly, the living entities are there in the material world. But it is a Lord Krishna who is the connecting line between all these people, which is not seen. So, yeah, these are the different opulences of Krishna. So, I wanted one devotee volunteer to please read this. Anybody?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
7.8 to 11 different opulences of Krishna. What, who, and of what among whom. Taste of water, light of moon and sun, Om of Vedic mantras, sound of ether, ability of man, fragrance of earth, heat of fire, life of all that lives, penance of all ecstatics, original seed of all existences, intelligence of intelligent, prowess of all powerful men, strength, the strong, devoid of passion and desire, sex life, not contrary to religious principle. Hare Krishna Mataji.
So he's all this, taste, light, everything, what are the ability of a man, everything is Krishna. ये चैव सात्विका भावा तमसश्च ये मत्ता एवेति तद्विद्धि नत्वाहं तेषु ते मयि. Knowing that all the states of being, be they of goodness, passion, or ignorance, are manifested by my energy. I am in one sense everything, but I am independent. I am not under modes of material nature, for they, on the contrary, are within me. Because these are inferior energies of the Lord. Because of our interaction with the material nature, we come across different interactions and succumb to that. But once our soul is surrendered unto the Krishna, nothing can disturb us. So Krishna is the origin of all the three different modes, but he is not in any of these modes, and therefore he is the Nirguna. He is not affected by any of this. Okay. All material activities are conducted under these three modes of material nature, and it emanates from Krishna, and he is not subordinate to it. So here we have an analogy of a king or a lawmaker. The king who is there, who knows a person, a resident in a kingdom, he has a knowledge only about his land and he's limited only to that. But the king knows like what are all property belong to different people in a country. Okay, but still at the same time, he'll be equivalent to all of them. Similarly, lawmaker, the person who passes on the judgment, he'll be equal for all. So depending on the situation which is put on his bench or that particular situation, he will justify it accordingly. So similarly also, the person who is doing different modes of material nature will be given different type of reward or punishment. It is totally not affected by Krishna. It is his own previous karma or whatever it is. Depending on that, he will be given the award or the punishment. So next section is the three modes of material natures are controlled by Krishna. So therefore, if we surrender, then we don't have to control ourselves from these three. He will take care of everything. Deluded by three modes, that is goodness, passion, and ignorance, the whole world does not know me, and whom I am above the modes of these three modes and inexhaustible. Okay. Daivi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mame Prapadyante Mayam Metam Tarantite. So this divine energy of mind consisting of these three modes of material nature is difficult to overcome for anyone. So now we are writing, but when it comes to practical, it is very, very difficult to overcome that. But people who have surrendered on to Krishna, it becomes easy for them to pass over this ocean, because Krishna is there. So he can do any magic, like how Pandavas could win the Kurukshetra war. Anything is possible with Krishna. So the only thing is that we need to surrender on to him to take care of what is required for us. So next devotee volunteer, please read this. Anybody?
Hare Krishna Mataji, knowledge
Hare
of
Krishna.
the absolute. Krishna explains how to get free from the modes bound by clutches of Maya. Nitya, Nityavadha, eternally bound, difficult to overcome since controlled by Supreme Lord. Divine energy, material energy is called so because of divine connection and movement by divine will. Reference Vedas Nayam. Guna as robe. Only Krishna or his bona fide representative can rescue one. Devotional service can help one gain release Krishna out of parent, parent paternal affection for the lake, can order his energies to release the conditioned souls. Get free from clutches of Mama Evaye Prapadyante. Only surrender to Krishna. Only Vishnu is the master of Maya. Difficult by our own endeavor, easy by surrender. Conditioned souls, Nitya Badha. No one can trace out the history of being. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
So bounded by clutches of Maya. All of us are bounded by clutches of Maya, isn't it? Nitya Baddha, eternally bound by different modes. And yes, sometimes it is very difficult to overcome. But once we are surrendered onto the Lord, He will make the impossible things possible, because the material energy is very inferior and the superior energy is so great. And He knows, yes, He has taken one forward step towards me, then it is my duty to get these people out of the material energy and help us to progress further in the bhakti, because many people who are involved only in a daily affairs of their life, okay, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So very few people are into the bhakti. So if one step we take towards him, he will take care of rest of the thing, because he is the ultimate master and he can condition us to progress further in this. So sometimes there will be a downfalls, not that once we have taken up the service, we will be progressing further, but even some amount of pitfalls are there, but still he will recover and he will get on us to the track to progress further in the bhakti. The only thing is that we need to be consistent in our efforts. So next one is impious lack knowledge and never surrender to Krishna because they are covered by Maya, and the pious develop knowledge and they surrender onto the Krishna. Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyante naradama mayaya pata jnana asurim bhavamashritas. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among the mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion and who partake of the aesthetic nature of the demons, do not surrender unto me, because they are like my family, my children, my this thing. So all those many belongings they have, it becomes very, and they take the shelter of demigods, praying them, give me this, give me that, and all those things. But Krishna will be laughing from above and he says, I know what I need to give you. Yeah, it's okay. Again, he will say to demigods, please give the what all my devotees are asking you, at least in your form, let all that get be fulfilled. But in turn, who is the one who is giving the authority or granting all those things? It's again the Krishna. Okay. But the Jivatma, they don't know about it and they try to help or they take the shelter of the demigods, which is not required. Yeah, as I told you, 4 type of people who will never surrender onto the Lord. So they are called as Mudhas, Naradhamas, Asuram Bhavamashrita, and Maya Pahrata Jnana. So Mudas means the grossly foolish people, like hard working beasts. So they will go from morning and they will work till evening and they say, I don't have any time for Krishna, for any sadhana or something like that. Even if you try to them, just a Harinama is okay for you to get liberated in this world. They don't. So they know only how to work like an asses, So that is not the way. Even animals feed their kids and ants feed their kids, a different type of 84 lakh species. Apart from humans, rest of the species, they feed their families. But they don't work hard like we do. So neglecting all our responsibility towards the God. So all those people come into that categories. So Naradamas are the lowest of the mankind. They don't have any faith in any of the thing, whether impersonal bhakti or personal bhakti. They have their own dictatorship. So they have their own rules and regulations by which they go about. Okay. And some people, asurim bhavam ashrita, they are envious towards the God and aesthetic differences. So, such a foolishness, isn't it? So, it is their, I can say, the previous karma by which they are not able to recognize. If you can take example of a Duryodhana, Lord Krishna was there in front of him and he said, I am ready to help you out. But he said, no, let Pandavas win over me and take the kingdom. I don't want to compromise on this. So that is an attitude towards God by a people who are envious towards them. Okay. And Duryodhana was envious towards Krishna. Okay. And Maya Pahata Jnana. So knowledge stolen by illusionary identity. This comes many of these scientists and highly educated people. We have read a lot and we are in such a good positions and all. Why we need to read the literature and all those things, which is just illusionary things and all. So they have their own principles and philosophy they speak about. So these four type of a people will never ever surrender on to the Vishnu. Hare Krishna. So here we have an example of a different. So working hard like as, and you can see here Ravana Brahma and who is doing a tapasya for some worldly things and all. So different people have a different. Here are examples of Jagai and Madai. So these ignorant people, they can never know about the Lord. Ultimately, they'll be killed in the hands of the Lord. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritno arjuna artho jignasurathati jnani cha bharatarshava. Oh, best among the Bharatas, four kind of pious men render devotion service unto me. So what are those other four type of, those are impious. These are pious people who serve Krishna is the distressed person, the person who is in a distress, the desirer of wealth, who wanted a Lakshmi, and the inquisitive, that is the soul, the knowledge about the soul, the super soul inner, and who is in the search of knowledge of the absolute. So one who wanted to know about the Lord. So these are the four kind of men who take shelter of me. Yeah. So these are the few examples of devotees. So these are the various stories from the Srimad Bhagavatam. The first story, anybody remembers what is this?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Gajendra Ashtakam, that Mataji.
Moksha Gati.
Yeah, Gajendra Moksha. So, yeah, in ultimate highest pain, when the crocodile is more powerful in water, so elephant is more powerful on the land. So, in the very distressful situation, when he pray upon the Lord, he will come and kill the crocodile, and ultimately crocodile get relieved. So, this is a picture from Draupadi Vastravarna in the Maya Sabha. Isn't it? When she has been disturbed of her clothes, Lord Krishna will supply her the innumerable saris and protect her from the defamation. And this picture is of the Parikshit Maharaj when what do you say? He's protected by Lord Krishna in his womb, and ultimately the absolute knowledge of the Lord is known to Parikshit Maharaj in the mother womb only. So this is again Parikshit Maharaj in front of Sukadeva Goswami. When he knows only 1 week is left in his life, he will go to the banks of a Ganga river that is near the Haridwar, and he takes shelter of Sukadeva Goswami, and he's asking him, what is right for me? You please enlighten, so that I will go accordingly. So Sukadeva Goswami will say, try to finish Bhagavatam in a week, and ultimately you will be liberated. So likewise, in a week, he will complete the Bhagavatam. So what is this picture? Hare Krishna.
Dhruva Maharaj.
Yes. Maharaj. So this one.
Sanchadi. Vali brother, his name I not remember. Promise.
Yes, mother. This one. This one. Hare Krishna.
Naimi Sarani.
Yes. So these are the various examples, where Lord will be very protective about his devotees.
Mataji, can you repeat last one? I didn't get it.
Naimisharanyam. Hare Krishna. So I wanted one devotee volunteer to read this again.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Can I turn my attention?
Yes, yes.
Artaha, distressed. Artha, he, wealth seeker. Jignasu, inquisitive. Gnani, one who desires knowledge of absolute truth. The way to start, I'm getting confused about this game.
Four categories.
Four categories of pious people. Are they pure devotees? No, because they have some aspirations to fulfill in exchange of the devotional service. What is the pure devotional service? Rendered transcendental love, so loving service favorable without desire for material profits or gain through activities. Destiny of Sukritinas. In this inquiry, they associate with pure devotees and get purified. At what stage do Sukritis become? When they are free from all material desires, when they fully understand that material renunciation has fulfilling the purifying with. What is the hope for miscreants in regard to devotional service? From them, devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfless, irregular, and without spiritual goals. Is there any hope any time if by chance they become in contact with a pure devotee, they also become pure devotees? Sukritinas, pious people, adherent of regulative principles, scriptures, follow moral and social laws, more or less devotional to the Supreme Lord. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the one who has a knowledge about the Lord, the pious peoples, and become the devotees, they develop pure devotion service, they do everything without having attachment to the results of it, and they don't want it to be rewarded and all. And by default, any of the person who's coming in contact with these pious people, they will also turn out to be pure devotees and follow all the rules and regulations what they follow. So it is absolutely important for us to be in a devotee association to progress further in the bhakti. Okay. So who is the best among the four kind of pious people? Okay, these are the four people who take a shelter of the Lord. So in full knowledge of the absolute truth and free from material desires, engage in pure devotion service of the Lord. Lord is very dear to him and he is dear to the Lord. So when one is in the pure knowledge of the transcendental of the Supreme Lord, material contamination cannot touch him. He becomes pure, nothing can come near him. Okay, Hare Krishna. I think we can end here. Yeah. Tomorrow we'll continue with the remaining slides. Okay. Till 32 we have done. No? Any doubts still here? Hare Krishna, any doubts? So what are the superior and inferior energies of Lord? We are made up of?
Mataji. Superior are made up of living entities.
5
Mataji.
elements, Mataji. And
Earth, water.
No, 5 elements is inferior energy of the Lord. What are those 5 elements?
earth, water, fire, air, either mind. Mind, intelligence, and false ego are gross elements, Mataji. and subtle elements.